Get some water or tea, you're gonna need it for this. Are you ready for this? I don't know if you are. Was to write a hate letter to myself. Your happiness, it's no one's responsibility. This is not about false, forced positivity. Sometimes we realize that we are not happy, whether this is something with our physical appearance or something internal, and occasionally it's both. That was the case for me. I finally acknowledged the fact that I thought I was doing fine and I was happy, when in reality I was just kind of on autopilot, a little bit numb, going through the motions. And what made me realize this is something that you might be able to relate to. This is by no means professional advice, but this is just based on my personal and life experiences. Complaining. It's so easy, and believe it or not, it takes so much effort. However, we all do it, and some of us fairly regularly. But how many of us actually pause and take a really inward, deep dive to see, what are we complaining about? Why are we complaining? And most important, what are we gonna do about it? How are we gonna change the cycle? Because it is a pretty toxic cycle. In other words, stop blaming the world and look at yourself. You know why? Because nobody is coming to save you or to rescue. It's on us. And believe it or not, the positive side of this is that we are actually, I would say, 90% in control of a lot of the outcomes of our life, our daily life, of how we feel. We can do so much to change situations and things that we no longer like or that we're uncomfortable with and no longer serve us. And you know what's awesome? Like I said in the beginning, that happiness is no one else's responsibility but your own. It's awesome that we can reinvent ourselves, and it's exciting, and you can reinvent yourself however you want. I mean, how mind-blowing is that? What do I mean when I say take a look inward and analyze yourself? Obviously, if you need professional help, it's a completely different story. But if you're just going through a rut, or you're doing the same thing over and over and over and wondering why you're not happy, well, in order to have different results, you need to change what you're doing every day. The best thing that worked for me, this is gonna sound so weird, is to try and look at yourself and what makes you unhappy and what you're complaining about from the outside. Pretend you're one of your friends looking at you, complaining, not being happy, and try to see it from an objective point of view. Also, something that really helped me, and this has a little bit of a backstory, was, are you ready for this? I don't know if you are, was to write a hate letter to myself. Yes, you heard me right, a hate letter to myself. And what this does, I mean, when I started writing it, I didn't plan on that. But as things started coming, I just wrote them down on paper. And this was so liberating, not because I was reinforcing the fact that I don't like certain things about myself, but because it was such a weight lifted from me. All those things that I kept in, that I bottled in, that I hang on to, I put them down on a page and then I shredded it. You can burn it, you can shred it, you can do whatever you want with it, tear it in a million little pieces. Get some water or tea, you're gonna need it for this. Okay, here we go. As many of you know, I've been really open about this. In May of 2021, I lost my mom. And I wasn't able to go to Italy to the funeral. And I thought, after about 3 months or so, I thought, you know what, I'm fine, I'm okay. I dealt with it, I'm a strong person. I got this and started living my life day in, day out. And for some reason, I couldn't see this myself. In my little bubble, I thought everything was peachy and everything was going perfectly. However, there were certain things that I was noticing that weren't making me as happy as they used to, or I had zero interest in doing them, which it should have been alarming, but it wasn't. It just felt normal to me. And something made me snap out of it. And this was very recent. So I think the true grieving time for me was probably a year and a half where I was just numb to the world and just going through life as it came. I had a lot of successes, but I wasn't really enjoying any of it. Honestly, sometimes I even felt I didn't deserve some of the successes I was having. One day, I finally decided to detach from all sort of electronics, put myself in my little studio, not even music, just pure silence, the windows open, and I picked up my paintbrush and I started painting and drawing. And before you know it, 3.5, 4 hours went by, and I felt such a sense of peace and serenity after that. And I realized I actually enjoyed it. I hadn't felt that feeling, that passion, that, I don't know, that fulfillment in so long. I realized how much I enjoyed the quiet, the calm, the actually allowing my brain to be idle and to just focus on one thing without other distractions. And I felt really good. I felt a burst of energy for a couple of days after that. And of course I liked it. So one day I was here in the living room and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a very gentle yoga session, stretching for myself. Again, I fully immersed in the present practice, no other distraction, no music, no nothing, no lights, just be present with myself, with my breath, with my thoughts, whatever they were. And again, I really liked it. And then the culmination of this is gonna be absolutely mind-blowing because it was for me. It was a freaking Netflix TV series. Yeah. I was here and I was relaxing. I made myself a cup of tea and I started watching a TV series, a Netflix TV series called From Scratch. It captivated me at first because it was an Italian and American relationship. I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't seen it, but to me it checked all the boxes because it had the elements of Italy that I miss so much. I also understand the American culture, so I feel I got a double treat. And then the story developed, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It goes through every single range of emotions, every single situation you can possibly have in life, from the best to the worst. It comes full circle, and you go through an emotional roller coaster. It also was, I thought, very thought-provoking, and personally, it forced me to do an inward deep dive and see what I'm really, really grateful and thankful for. And at the end of it, between sobbing cries and belly laugh, I finally realized that it's time to start living and doing things again and really being in the present, enjoy the people around you, dedicate times to things that you love. And it reset me. I don't know how to explain it. For me, that was a catalyst and it absolutely hit the reset button. And boy, did a deep dive we took. I started looking at my behavior in the last, I would say, year. And I realized by looking at this, that wasn't me. I was doing things that were so out of character for me, nothing crazy. But when I looked back, I realized that I was such in a bad place mentally and physically, because obviously if you let one go, the other tends to kind of follow along. But I've noticed that I was very judgy of people. I was complaining. I was projecting majorly anything that I didn't like about myself onto others. Projection, unconsciously taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else. After I was done kind of reviewing this horror story, I had my aha moment. I pretty much grieved this whole time in my own way. I was never able to go to the services, to the funeral services of my mom, and I think there was a lot of guilt attached to that. And instead of allowing myself to truly grieve, I just powered through like a bulldozer because that's my personality, thinking everything is fine, we got this. And now that this door has been open and this weight has been lifted, I feel so new, so refreshed, completely different mindset, completely different mental place and space. When you start healing your own unhappiness, you are gonna start seeing the most familiar things with an eye of enjoyment again. It's gonna lead to balance, serenity, creativity, laughter, and a lot of love for yourself and for those around you. I'm a firm believer that if we don't love ourselves first, we cannot possibly love other people. Like I said, some of us are unhappy internally, some externally. However, the two do go hand in hand. I've noticed by doing things for my mind, it makes me want to do things for my body, and vice versa, because by nature, I want the two to live cohesively and match with each other. Whether your unhappiness is from negative self-talk or even thought behavior because maybe your family, how you were raised, past traumas, I mean, the list is forever. But you can take some comfort and some solace in the fact that anything learned can be unlearned. We can unteach ourselves certain things. It takes work and dedication, but nothing that's worth it will come easy. And everything, even the most amazing relationship in the world, is gonna take some daily work and dedication. And the relationship with yourself is probably the most important one that you will ever have, because guess what? You're gonna be around you for a very long time. This is what worked for me, and this is what got me back in the driver's seat of me. I took back control of my mind. For me, a big play in this was to lay off the distorted reality that social media portrays, allowing my mind to be idle, even bored. That bred so much creativity, so much serenity, so much peace and imagination, and that childlike joy and excitement for the most simple things. It really allowed some space for my mind to breathe. And while it's so easy to constantly think and list the problems in our life, also think about the solutions. Something that I've learned in my previous career is don't just present a problem, but present a problem and present one or two possible solutions. It's such a mind-changing exercise. You don't like your body? You can change it. You don't like your diet? You can change it. You don't like your job, your living situation, whatever the case might be. So many things that you can actually change. So many times we have a solution right in front of us, but we tend to deflect because we know it's gonna be work, it's gonna be uncomfortable, it's gonna feel icky until you start learning it and you start moving forward with it. There is always gonna be an uncomfortable phase in anything new that you try, whether it's something you love or not. It's not just gonna be perfect from the get-go. People saying, I don't have the time, I call bullshit on that. Go on your Instagram and see how many hours you spent there last week. You can find the time. I've always believed that if it is important to you, you will find the time. Reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself as many times as you need to. Guess what? Breaking news, nothing stays the same and everything is constantly changing. Everything, from the plant in your living room to you, to your friends, to the street that you drive on every day, everything is constantly changing. And you'd be a fool to think that you are the same person that you were 5 years ago, much less 2 months ago. We're constantly changing, evolving, and it's beautiful. So have fun on reinventing yourself. Have a mental, clear picture of what this new self is gonna be. And a few years down the road, you might have to reinvent yourself again. That's the beauty of living this life. Hold yourself accountable. Make it fun. Be vulnerable. Open up to the people near you that you know they will support you and encourage you. Work on your self-awareness so you can check yourself, so you're aware when you are derailing yourself, so you're aware when you're starting to do those negative talks, and you're gonna build the best relationship with yourself that you have ever had. You are gonna be with you all the time. So make it a good place to be. It's no one else's job but yours. I hope this helped you guys, and thank you for listening. I had some major aha moments lately, and I thought it would be fun and insightful to share them with you. I want to know from you if you feel like opening up down in the comments below and start the conversation. Have you had any aha moments lately? Any suggestions, recommendations, leave them down below. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Mwah. Bye.